Subscribe to Chug Chow wherever you get your podcasts or visit chugandchow.com.
Welcome, my fellow flavor chasers, backroad believers. This is Chug Chow. Thank you for downloading. Thank you for subscribing to the podcast. This is where we serve up mouth-watering stories from the very soul of America. I'm Todd Newton, author of Chug Chow, the Tattooed Traveler's 50 Favorite Dive Bars and Food Joints Across America. The book is available in ebook form and paperback on Amazon or at chugandchow.com. And it is your personal guide to the kinds of places that make you want to stay for seconds, you know? Whether you're cruising the interstate or detouring through small-town America, this is your go-to for discovering those diners, the local hangouts where the food is unforgettable and the stories run deep. On this episode, we're hitting the road on our way to Louisville, Kentucky, and Dizzy Whizz. You know, I remember the first time I saw the movie American Graffiti. I was barely a teenager when my family purchased a VCR. Remember those? And my parents rented the video cassette for my friends and me to watch during a sleepover. My folks were great like that. My buddies and I would call girls on the phone. We would talk trash to one another, order thin crust pizzas from a local pizzeria down the street called Bill Giannino's, and we would get lost in the coming-of-age film starring a young Ron Howard, Harrison Ford, and a yet-to-be-discovered Suzanne Summers until the last of us succumbed to sleep. Directed by George Lucas, famous for the Star Wars franchise, American Graffiti is a cinematic classic. The legendary DJ Wolfman Jack's cameo inspired my path to becoming a radio personality. The scenes at Mel's Drive-In restaurant are equally memorable for me, and they capture and popularize another key piece of Americana. Before fast food chains dominated the landscape, customers could pull into a stall, order from bright neon-lit menus, and have their food delivered right to their car, sometimes by car hops on roller skates. This nostalgic business model became such a cultural touchstone that drive-ins were later featured in the movie Grease during the beauty school dropout number and in 1985's Back to the Future. The drive-in restaurant phenomenon emerged in the 1920s as automobiles became increasingly accessible to American consumers. As mobility increased, entrepreneurs sought ways to serve customers on the go. Car ownership in the 1920s and 30s was revolutionary, transforming how Americans, especially young people, spent their leisure time. Weekends meant piling into friends' cars and cruising for hours. After World War II, the car hop model became synonymous with teenage life in America. Restaurants like A&W, originally opened in 1919 as a root beer stand, and Sonic, founded in 1953, built their success on this model, becoming popular hangouts where teens could enjoy burgers, fries, milkshakes without even leaving their vehicles. At the height of American car culture, drive-in restaurants dotted the landscape like stars in the summer sky. Between 1957 and 1964, these havens of hamburgers and hospitality numbered somewhere between 30,000 and 50,000. These were places where teenage dreams were served alongside chocolate malts and crispy fries. Yet their reign would prove surprisingly brief. Like many great American stories, the tale of their decline ultimately comes down to pure economics. It didn't take long for chains like McDonald's and Burger King to reshape the nation's dining habits. The drive-in model had introduced Americans to unprecedented convenience, but we soon craved even faster service. People began traveling further distances and accomplishing more in their daily lives, so they sought ways to optimize efficiency. Soon, waiting for a bubbly car hop to bring your meal began to feel kind of slow. Customers didn't even need to exit their cars in a drive-in, but they barely needed to touch the brake pedal in a drive-through. Beyond saving time, the drive-through window saved restaurants money. The minimum wage saw a steady climb throughout the 60s and 70s, and while this benefited workers, it challenged business owners. Rather than paying multiple car hops to glide from kitchen to stall, a drive-through window requires just one employee, significantly reducing labor costs. And the more people on the payroll, the higher the prices passed on to the customer. Well, these new fast food establishments fed the masses more quickly and cheaply than drive-ins ever could. At the same time, shopping malls were sprouting up everywhere, becoming the new spots for teenagers to meet and mingle. The golden age of drive-ins was ending, and no degree of nostalgia could stop the wheels of progress from rolling forward. But every rule has its exception, and Dizzy Whizz Drive-In in downtown Louisville, Kentucky is just that. Named for its original spinning sign that would whiz around to capture the attention of passersby, Dizzy Whizz stands as one of Louisville's oldest continuously operating restaurants since opening its doors in 1947. I visited Dizzy Whizz for the first time in January of 2025 when I was hosting the Price is Right live stage show at the beautiful Louisville Palace. One of the local stagehands suggested I walk the 7 blocks to St. Catherine Street, where I would discover my first authentic drive-in restaurant. And while the small brown structure may not have had the bustling energy of Mel's from American Graffiti, the scene before me was something special. A bevy of Yelp reviews are impressive, no doubt, but it was an interaction with the young lady working behind the counter of Dizzy Whizz and the woman seated directly to my right that convinced me I was in the right place. When I mentioned it was my first visit to the restaurant, the waitress responded without hesitation, "One Whizzburger it is then." No question, no debate. Just as surely as Louisville-born Muhammad Ali is the greatest boxer of all time, well, the tattooed traveler was destined to taste the burger that made Dizzy Whizz famous. And the employees only add to the experience. There are 22 of them, and they share more than just a workplace. They share a remarkable 300 years of combined service to this Louisville institution. As I sat at the counter, I found myself beside a warm-hearted Kentuckian enjoying her scrambled eggs and hash browns, prepared just mere feet away on the same grill where she had worked herself for more than 40 years before deciding to hang up her apron. And in a moving testament to the restaurant's legacy, the young woman now preparing my Whizzburger was the daughter of the woman sitting next to me. 2 of those employees, Jenny and Lori, had a special request when they found out they'd be appearing on the CHUG CHOW podcast.
Will you say something about Jenny Martin and Lori Winklebach on how good they make milkshakes, the best in the whole city?
Well, I can vouch for those milkshakes. I had a delicious banana one with my burger.
You had a banana one. I probably made it.
Now, Jenny, before we get too deep into the milkshakes here, let's focus on the famous Whizzburger. That's what everybody knows Dizzy Whizz for. What are the key ingredients of your famous Whizzburger?
What's on our Whizzburger is lettuce, cheese, 2 patties, and our homemade famous handmade Whizz sauce, which is tartar sauce.
Now, see, that was new to me. I had never had tartar sauce on a cheeseburger before, but I liked it. It just seemed to fit. Now, is there a secret to those milkshakes as well?
Yeah, the secret I can give you is blend it. Blend it well.
And what flavors?
Make it as thick or as thin as they want it.
Well, I like it so thick you can barely get it through the straw. In addition to banana and chocolate, vanilla, what other flavors can you mix up for us?
All kinds.
And the original car hop stalls are still there, right? And still operable. I can pull in there and you'll come out and I can place my order. You all still do that?
Yes, we do, but not in roller skates anymore.
Why not?
Because we're old and we'll hurt ourselves, and then we ain't got no workers.
And do you still have a lot of people that come in for the car hop service?
Heck yeah, we do. We still have about 400 tickets we serve every night.
Oh, I love hearing that.
Have a Dizzy Whizz day, Todd Newton.
I shall do my best to have a Dizzy Whizz day. Thank you, Jen. You know, that Whizzburger proved to be more than just a satisfying experience. Their signature burger features 2 beef patties, just to go into a little further detail here, separated by a middle bun, then slathered in that secret spread, which does resemble the tartar sauce. And while it's nearly identical in appearance to the Big Mac at McDonald's, the Whizzburger delivers a notably superior taste. Notably superior. And the menu board just above my head there maintains its old school appeal. All of the items offered are a la carte. Of course, I had the banana milkshake, the burger, and those onion rings. The man we have to thank for all of this is Howard Poole, who opened Dizzy Whizz in the 1940s. We lost Mr. Poole in 2003. He passed at the age of 82, and his son, Tim Poole, now leads the family business. Mr. Poole, I appreciate you joining us here on Chug Chow. Love to ask you a few questions about the history of the restaurant, kind of get to the meat of the story, pun intended.
Okay, yeah.
From what I gather, mid-1940s is when everything started happening. Is that right?
Yeah, 1947, he went in business, opened it up, had a cousin that he went in business with at the time. A little bitty trolley car. It was located over on the same lot, but over on 3rd Street. Couple years later, he moved it over to St. Catherine Street, and very simple menu back then. Over the years, he added on to the trolley car.
And the counter, though, is still original, which is really a stellar piece of history and really gives you that classic taste of Americana, that old school diner feel. Tim, I'm particularly interested in the stalls, the drive-in stalls, and the car hops who, as Jenny proudly declared, are no longer on roller skates. I completely get that. When did your dad decide to implement those?
Probably that early 50s.
Mm-hmm.
I think he just heard about it and thought it was a good idea. I think it was all fairly new concept back in the 50s, and that's when he started doing the curb service.
Okay, so he saw what everyone else was doing, what was popular, and wanted to be a part of that. What makes Dizzy Whizz stand out, though, is when everyone stopped doing that, when they ceased the drive-in stall service, the car hop service, Dizzy Whizz kept it going. That's a little bit of a business risk because there are certainly expenses attached to that you could eliminate from your overhead there. But I think your dad realized that those drive-in stalls, the car hops, they mean something to people.
Yeah, I don't know of any restaurant that has true curb service where the person comes out to the vehicle and actually takes your order and then also brings it to you. Of course, you have one chain that does it, but I think you pull up and there's a speaker that you speak into.
Yeah, but definitely not the same experience.
I don't know of anybody else that has true curb service anymore.
Now, I heard, this might just be rumor or local legend, but the origin of the name Dizzy Whizz comes from the sign that you all have on your roof. It goes around in circles rather quickly. And when people would stare at it, they would get dizzy. And the sound of the sign going around is kind of a whiz. Thus the name Dizzy Whizz. Any truth to that?
No. My dad needed, he had $1,000 and he needed $1,000. Of course, that's back in 1947, which was a lot of money. And he went to the bank, to the loan officer. And the loan officer said, asked him what he was going to do with it, and he said he's going to open up a restaurant. And the loan officer said, "Well, I was going to open up a restaurant, but I've decided not to do it, and I have a name that I was going to use, and you're welcome to use it." And my dad asked him, and he said, "Dizzy Whizz." And my dad really liked the name of that, the ring on it, the name, and he decided to use it.
Huh.
He actually got that idea from the loan officer.
I almost like that story better, to be honest with you. Mr. Poole, one of the things I'm most proud of when it comes to the book Chug and Chow, the book that this podcast is based on, is that for every copy sold on Amazon, 10 meals are provided to folks that are experiencing hard times, experiencing food insecurity, long before there was the internet, where we could go on and find an organization that provided meals to those in need, long before there were even homeless shelters there in Louisville, Kentucky, where folks could go get a hot meal. Your father believed in feeding the people of Louisville, feeding those who needed it, who were experiencing a rough patch in life. Can you talk about his philanthropy a little bit?
Well, he always had a philosophy that if somebody came to Dizzy Whizz and was hungry, he would never say no to anyone. That's how Dizzy Whizz is now.
That's really special. It truly is. And in recognition for all your father did, and he never asked for any accolades, but June 26th was proclaimed Howard Poole Day. He was awarded the key to Louisville, Kentucky, and an unnamed street behind the restaurant there was christened Howard Poole Alley. It sounds like he did so much for the city, and the city just wanted a way to say thank you.
As far as to the city, Dizzy Whizz is kind of a unique situation that we have a lot of repeat customers that come in, and it feels like home to them. It does.
And part of that is because the servers and your employees, many of whom have been there forever. I mentioned the young lady at the top of the episode who had been there a long time, and her mom was sitting next to me at the counter. She'd been there 4 decades. If the restaurant feels like home, then your staff must feel like family.
Yeah, we have a lot of employees that have worked here many, many years. And, at one time, I think we had 15 or 18 employees, and it all added up to well over 300 years of experience. It's a very unique situation here. We hang on to our employees.
And it sounds like you hang on to your customers, too. That's great. Tim Poole of Dizzy Whizz in Louisville, Kentucky. I thank you for your time, sir. I look forward to my next visit to Louisville and, more importantly, my next Whizzburger and banana shake.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you calling.
You bet. At its heart, Dizzy Whizz is a story of family, a story of tradition, where car hops still personally greet customers right there at their windows. Intercoms, as you heard, would be far too impersonal. And where high school students carefully craft chocolate chip milkshakes by hand, you'll find a precious piece of American dining history well preserved. While corporate chains may have abandoned such personal touches, Dizzy Whizz remains steadfastly true to its roots, as much a part of Louisville's identity as the smooth finish of Kentucky's finest bourbon. Yes, sir. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Chug and Chow. I want to thank you so much for being a part of the family. If you have not already, please subscribe to the podcast, and what do you say you write us a little review? A few sentences about places you've heard about, discovered on your own that you want to share with other listeners, and throw us a 5-star rating if you would, please. No matter what platform you're listening to us on, it means the world to us here in podcast land. And don't forget Chug and Chow, the Tattooed Traveler's 50 favorite dive bars and food joints across America, is available right now on Amazon or at chugandchow.com, where you can see videos of some of these great spots, including Dizzy Whizz in Louisville, Kentucky. Until we meet again a little further on down the road, I'm Todd Newton. Travel safely.
Chug and Chow is produced by the host with the most LLC. All rights reserved.